everybody, Dan Barnett with Absolute Dynamics. Today we're going to take a look at qualification standards. Law enforcement officers across the country are required to, at some point during the year or multiple times throughout the year, prove a demonstration of skills, which is frequently referred to as qualifications. These qualifications are recorded and generally go towards the certification of that individual officer and their eligibility to continue to be certified in that state in particular. Here in Pennsylvania, the Municipal Police Officers Education and Training Commission, or what's commonly referred to as MOPEC, sets that standard. So this qualification has been around for about 2 years now. I believe it first came around 2020, and then 2021 was the second year that this qualification was in effect. That being said, I've become very familiar with it. I've watched many officers go through it. I've run through it numerous times myself, and I've run numerous officers through it. What I found is that I personally think that this is a very low standard. The time hacks for this qualification are extremely generous. The distances that officers need to shoot from are not far at all. And the actual target size, which is a silhouette size target, is more than generous, and the percentage rate that officers need to retain that accuracy is very low. Frequently we qualify on targets that look like this, not necessarily this type of target, but these silhouette type targets. So some of you may think, well, okay, you may think it's an easy qualification course, but not for everybody. Well, yes, I do think it's easy, and it shouldn't be easy. It shouldn't be easy for everybody walking through the door, which is kind of what it is. Very rarely do I see anybody struggle with this course, and that just tells me that the standard has been lowered to accommodate the lowest common denominator. That is not what we want in law enforcement, and that's not what we want in law enforcement when we're utilizing lethal force. So easy. How do I back it up, right? Well, what I did was I took the time during one of my classes on a quick break to run over to one of the longer ranges and actually fire the MOPEC Coursifier, except I changed a few things. What I did was this: I simply doubled the distance. So when a string of fire called for 15 yards, I had to run it at 30. And then I took the time that was allowed for that individual string of fire, and I cut it in half. So if I had 8 seconds from the 15-yard line, I now had 4 seconds from the 30-yard line for that string of fire. I continued through the qualification course in doing that. Also felt that that wasn't good enough. Not only did I double the distance and half the time, but one of my biggest complaints was also our target area. So what I decided to do was simply minimize my target area by about 1/3. Rather than shooting on a full silhouette target similar to what you see behind me, what I chose to do was shoot it on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, a simple piece of computer paper. Additionally, the standard was 100%. I had to have all of my rounds in that piece of paper or that string of fire would not count, and it was a failure. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the MOPEC state qualification, double the distance, half the time, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I throw this out there and ask you to challenge yourself in some way, shape, or form. Try to do this, whether you leave the target the same and just double the distance in half the time, or you do what I did and make your target size a little smaller as well. But I promise you that if you continue to challenge yourself in this way, when it does come time for qualifications, they are definitely going to be much easier than they already are. Thank you all for taking a few minutes to watch this video, and as always, stay safe.